The gym that you choose is the most important jiu-jitsu decision you will make. It's going to shape how you train, how long you train, and whether or not you stay injury-free. The culture of your gym becomes your default training style, good or bad. And that's what we're talking about today. Welcome to the Alchemy of Struggle, baby. So usually when people are deciding to train jiu-jitsu, they don't really know what to look for. They don't know much about jiu-jitsu. They don't know much about jiu-jitsu culture. So they figure one gym really isn't different from the other. So they end up choosing mostly based on convenience of location, price, and schedule. But those are not the things that matter the most when it comes to choosing the right place to train. What matters most is gym culture. Why? Because culture is contagious. When you're a new white belt joining a jiu-jitsu gym for the first time and you know nothing about the environment and you know nothing about the people, you are very similar to a younger kid hanging around a bunch of older kids. You figure because they're older and more experienced, they must know what they're doing. And if the cool kids are training like lunatics, as if they're entering the UFC, you're going to feel pressured to train the same way, which is a recipe for disaster. This is why a lot of people quit jiu-jitsu as white belts, because they end up joining the wrong gym and they get hurt. And they say, you know what? This is not what I expected. This is not what I signed up for. And I went through this myself. I was training like a lunatic when I first started jiu-jitsu because of the environment that I was in. Fortunately for my jiu-jitsu longevity, I changed things up for the better. And why is this so important? Because the research that's out there shows definitively that even us mature adults tend to mimic the behavior of those around us. You will be influenced by your peers in that gym. And because you don't know any better, you're just gonna figure, oh, this is just the way it is. You're supposed to try to kill each other every single round. So if you're new to jiu-jitsu, surrounded by a bunch of 20-somethings training as if they're going into war, you're gonna do the exact same thing, even though your 50-something, your 40-something-year-old body cannot keep up, and they will eventually break you. What are some common red flags? Common red flag number one, on the very first day you show up, you're expected to do hard sparring. That is completely crazy. My very first class was like that. I was asked, do you want to roll? Do you want to spar? I was like, well, I just got here. I don't even know what to do. And I was told, well, whatever it is I'm trying to do, just stop me from doing it. I was like, cool, let's try that. So right away, you're developing bad habits. You're focused on using athleticism and strength. You end up being tough, but not very good at jiu-jitsu. Another red flag, is there a white belt or beginner's class? The beginner's class is going to teach you really super basic stuff. How to move your body properly on the mat, how to do break falls, how to protect yourself, how to tap, when to tap. The focus of a fundamentals class is to start teaching you good jiu-jitsu habits from day one. At the BJJ, there is a separate class for new white belts, and Professor Matt teaches them basic fundamentals. Blue belts, purple belts, brown belts are not allowed in that class. Another red flag, it's a culture of prove yourself. Iron sharpens iron. And another red flag that follows right along with that is that injuries are normalized. Yes, injuries are a normal part of jiu-jitsu. There's really no getting around that. But that's true for just about any sport, especially a combat sport. But it should not be a badge of honor. Another is if you're being pushed into competing when you aren't ready, or if you just have no desire to. There are some people who have absolutely no interest in competing. These are the folks who I call jiu-jitsu recreationalists. There's competitors, there's hobbyists, and there's recreationalists. Check out the video on this channel that explains the difference between those three. Another red flag, do they talk about recovery and longevity? Recovery should be an absolute staple of any jiu-jitsu journey. And if you have a gym and that's not part of the conversation, keep looking. I would say this is probably the biggest red flag, and this might be a little bit controversial. If you're in your 40s and your 50s and you're starting jiu-jitsu, do not, I repeat, do not join an MMA gym. Don't do it. Most of the people who attend MMA gyms, they are bangers. And I've heard some pretty terrible stories of older people going into an MMA gym to train and getting absolutely lit up by guys who are training for an MMA match. Do not join an MMA gym unless they have the type of positive culture that I've already described. I'm going to list all of these red flags in the description, and there's going to be a separate list of what you should look for. All right, so what should you look for? Number one, there should be a mix of people. There should be definitely older grapplers on the mats. Some of them might be white belts. Some may be blue belts. Some may be purple and brown belts. If you walk in and the vast majority of the people in that gym are 20-somethings, you are in the wrong place. And I have my own experience to tell about that. Number two, warm-ups and flow rolls are encouraged. Now, I know a lot of people say most jiu-jitsu warm-ups are nonsense and they don't make sense. I agree. The types of warm-ups that you see done in a lot of jiu-jitsu gyms are kind of stupid. But this does not mean that warm-ups in general are a bad idea. Warm-ups and flow rolling should be encouraged. Number three, the emphasis is not on winning. The emphasis is on learning. Look, no one gets a medal or a title for submitting someone during training. That should not be the focus. Learning should be the primary focus. Another positive aspect of the right type of gym is when you first get there, the coach or the professor, they're gonna ask you about your background. What's your athletic background, if any? Do you have any existing injuries? What are your goals? Do you want to compete? Do you want to learn self-defense? Or are you just trying to get in shape? Or is it a combination of the three? That coach should be interested in exactly why you're there. Another good sign that you're in the right place, if they have a vibrant kids program. Because if you have instructors who know how to train kids, that's a good sign. They know how to deal with the rowdiness and the temperaments of young children. And if you find out that some of the parents of the kids also train there, just sign up. You're in the right place. When I first started training jiu-jitsu, I started at this place called Ultimate Athletics. I didn't train just there. Because I work at Cornell University, I also trained at the Cornell Jiu-Jitsu Club. These are all young people, 18, 19, 20, 22-year-olds. Every rolling session was like you're fighting for your life. Now, because I come from a wrestling background, I wrestled in high school, I loved the environment. But the problem, you're so focused on surviving that you don't really get the opportunity to practice what you've learned. Anytime someone is coming at you hard like that, you're always gonna revert to your A game. And when you're a brand new white belt, your A game is survival. But it got to the point where it became just boring. And I finally said, you know what, enough is enough. I'm tired of being in a battle every time I come here. I want to focus on actually learning jiu-jitsu. And so I started scaling back, going to that place. But what happens with a lot of people is their jiu-jitsu journey ends prematurely before it even starts because they just keep getting beat up. And they're like, look, I don't work 8-10 hours a day and they come here in the evening and just pay to get my ass kicked every day. They end up quitting something that really could have changed their lives for the better. And it's really a shame. And I think it's because the vast majority of people are joining the wrong gyms. And then eventually I ended up where I am right now at Ithaca BJJ, which really is the perfect environment for me. We have all age groups. We have young 20-somethings who are absolute killers. We also have people in their 30s and their 40s. The older student is 60 years old. Now, we train hard. Don't get me wrong. And when we're training for a competition, we're putting in the work, but that's not the primary focus. The primary focus is to learn jiu-jitsu. So I'm really curious, folks, how many of you watching this video realized at some point that you joined the wrong gym and you had to make a switch? Let us know in the comments. And guys, there are people out there who need this information. Let's help them find it. Like, share, and subscribe. One more thing, I almost forgot. You know, we gained over 60 subscribers in a single week. I was completely stoked. That tells me that their message is really starting to resonate. So to all of the new subscribers who have joined this community, thank you from the bottom of my heart, and let's continue to level up. Keep up the good fight.